Yo, what is up, guys? James Baek here, and today I have my top 4 set in the 2016 Liberty Garden Invitational against Jonathan Evans. If you haven't seen my Liberty Garden Invitational Swiss round, you can check that out using the link in the description down below against my good friend Stephen May. But today is my top 4 set. My top 8 set was off stream, and I don't think I recorded the battle videos due to not having enough space. But my team is the big C with Kangaskhan, Smeargle, Cresselia, Salamence, Groudon, and Xerneas, while my opponent's team, Jonathan's bring a really interesting team of Togekiss, Kyogre, Gengar, Venusaur, Bronzong, and Groudon. I had no idea what to really expect. I assumed the Venusaur was Mega, probably Chlorophyll, just to outspeed with the sun, and then if I get like a Trick Room up, he can Mega Evolve and underspeed. A Gengar, I'm not really sure what he's going for. I'm assuming he's either Mega or Focus Sash, but I can't really tell by this team alone. It's also interesting, he has a Trick Room mode, so I have to assume his primals might be slow. And I'm assuming Physical Groudon, a standard bulky Kyogre, and I'm guessing just the standard Togekiss, so I feel like my safest lead, no matter what he led, was Cresselia Groudon, because Cresselia Groudon is usually my go-to against Dual Primal. Basically, if I can get Groudon under good conditions like a Gravity, or maybe Skill Swap Levitate onto it with my Weather up, I can basically win with my Groudon. And obviously, Sword Stance is just threatening. He ends up leading the Gengar and the Bronzong against my Cresselia and Groudon. Now, if he his Mega Gengar, he might be carrying HP Water, which is definitely scary. So there are two plays that I'm really expecting Jonathan to make out of all the potential plays he can do. Either you switch out the Gengar and go for a Trick Room to get Kyogre under Trick Room and start going for Origin Pulses or Water Spouts easily to try to sweep my team, because Big Six is weak to that. Or HP Water switch out to Kyogre. Since he might predict me to scout for the HP Water first turn, I'm actually just gonna attack with the Groudon and go for a Gravity Precipice Blade, try and knock out the Bronzong. He might also switch out the Gengar into Kyogre, so that's kind of what I'm expecting here, to be honest, at this point. And it's a 50-50 at this point, and I'm willing to make this 50-50, because if I do get it right, I do win the game. Of course, if I lose it, I lose the game. But if I do find out if his Gengar carries Hidden Power Water first turn, I know that because it's the best of 3 set, I can adjust to it and use that information to my advantage in the next 2 games if I am able to win the second game and bring it to game 3. So he is going to withdraw his Bronzong into the Kyogre. So I'm assuming I asked him, are you going for HP Water? He nods his head and is very happy right here. And I would be too if I got the Hidden Power Water off. Of course, a lot of people think Hidden Power Water is, some kind of gimmick that you run on a lot of different things. But when Groudon is probably the scariest Pokemon to face in VGC 2016, you should have a lot of answers to it. Hidden Power Water is not a bad option if you have Kyogre. And he does reveal the Hidden Power Water, and that's going to knock out my Groudon. No way I'm living a Mega Gengar with like base 170 special attack. And Groudon's going to go down, and Gravity's going to get set up, and I basically know I cannot win at this point. Since he has trapped me, I can't exactly redirect a Sludge Bomb from my Xerneas, and I have Smeargle, so basically I don't think I can win this game at all, especially since he has Bronzong, and I can't exactly touch Bronzong. So I'm just going to forfeit the game right here, and as you see, I already lost in 1 turn. That's how big BDC 16 can be. The momentum can easily shift in a person's favor. And yeah, I'm just gonna forfeit here. I don't want him to see my Smeargle set. I don't want to bother a battle that I already know that I lost. I mean, I probably could win if I like Dark Void and got Moody Evasion, skill swap my own Smeargle, get Moody Evasion again, but I'm not gonna go for it at this point. Most likely he would be able to win by timer anyway, and it doesn't seem good for me. I'm already planning my game 2 strategy, but we do know he's Mega Gengar, which is very important information to know, and he carries Hidden Power Water, so most likely he's not carrying Shadow Ball. That's my assumption. If you carry Hidden Power on Gengar, it's either Ice or Water, and you usually run that over Shadow Ball. You usually have Sludge Bomb for Xerneas, Protect, obvious move, and then maybe like a Will-O-Wisp or Taunt to help with certain matchups, but or maybe substitute. But we go into game two. Jonathan took a very dominating first set. I feel like my strategy was fine. It just didn't go exactly the way I planned. It was a 50-50 after all, in my opinion. If I icy winded there, I would have been in a great position. But here, I feel like, okay, I could lead Cresselia Groudon again. I have to threaten Gengar. That's what I learned against my uh, round 2 opponent, who was also my top 8 set against Ajit, who was able to bring Mega Gengar and Kyogre and really give me some trouble. So I know that getting rid of Gengar is important. It's also getting rid of Gengar and possibly the Bronzong, if he decides to bring it this game, will allow my Xerneas to start sweeping. So I know that I have to knock out his Gengar. He might switch up modes here, which is actually what I'm kind of expecting. He might lead the same thing. I'm honestly expecting a Gengar Bronzong lead, but I can see him leading different modes, such as like Groudon Venusaur, or maybe Gengar Groudon here. But you know, I have to play more cautious. Obviously, my tournament run is on the line. This isn't Swiss, and I can't afford a loss here if I want to continue to advance. But you know, I've been in these high stakes situations before, and I know how to play them. So I'm just gonna play my best right here, as he does lead the Venusaur Groudon lead instead of the Gengar Bronzong lead, which I am completely fine with, as I am going to lead my Cresselia Groudon here. And now we're going to confirm whose speed is faster. I know that most people probably are either faster or slower than my Groudon, because my Groudon's an interesting speed stat. So we do reveal that my Groudon is actually faster than his Groudon here, which is great, because now I know my Cresselia is faster than his Groudon, so I can go for a skill swap into my own Groudon before he can get a Precipice Blades or maybe an Earth Power up. I am expecting the physical Groudon. I really am expecting the physical Groudon on this team. So he could go for Sleep Powder here onto my Groudon, or Sleep Powder my Cresselia, predicting Air Protect, but I'm just going to go for the skill swap in Swords Dance, as he does go for the Sleep Powder into my Groudon and does miss. It is a 75% accurate move. I do get the Levitate into a Groudon, and Swords Dance is going to be set up. I go for Swords Dance because I don't want to risk hitting as many Precipice Blades, as he does go for the Eruption here. And I was not expecting Special Groudon, and that does a hell of a lot to both my Pokemon. So I'm already down because I'm already in another Eruption range. I think I know I'm in Grass Knot range. I might be able to take depending on the Venusaur set. But here, I'm just going to Icy Wind Protect here. As I said, some Venusaurs do run a weird speed stat depending on the set. If he's Mega Venusaur, he might be slower than my Groudon and Cresselia after an Icy Wind. So I'm going to go for that Icy Wind play, as he goes for the Sleep Powder into Groudon, and Icy Wind does connect. So if he is the slow Venusaur set, I do outspeed him, as Icy Wind is able to connect on his Pokemon and lower the speed by 1, which is great. As we're going to see what he goes for. He's going to go for an Eruption once again, and that's going to be able to pick up the knockout onto my Cresselia, unfortunately. But I do get a free switch in, which is very nice. And I don't know what Jonathan's expecting here, but I'm going to bring out my Smeargle here, because I don't want to bring out Kangaskhan just yet. I kind of want to put pressure on him, because he doesn't know my Smeargle set since I forfeited game 1 pretty early. He doesn't know if I follow me, Crafty Shield. So maybe his best play is just to go for the Sleep Powder into the Smeargle. So I'm just going to go for a Tailwind right here, since I do carry the Tailwind. And I'm going to go for the Precipice Blades and risk it. Of course, his Groudon is slower than my Smeargle 100%, as he does withdraw the Groudon, which is interesting. And he's actually going to go into his Bronzong here, getting rid of the Sun. Sleep Powder is going to come out, and it's going to target the Groudon. So very unfortunate for me, as I do not make the read at all. Groudon does take a first turn guaranteed sleep, which is really important, and Tailwind does come out, which, you know, is really good for me. But now when a Bronzong probably has Lumberry, can just go for Trick Room. I get a Moody Boost, Special Defense, Evasion Falls, doesn't really matter. It doesn't help me in this situation. But yeah, so here I could go for Dark Void. I'm expecting Venusaur to protect, to be honest, and just Trick Room here, so I'm actually going to switch out into my Kangaskhan and go for Fire Punch into Bronzong. If he makes an Ogre switch, that's basically game. because I don't think I can handle an ogre under Trick Room. He might just be expecting Dark Void, so he might not protect. Like he might not switch out, but I have to make the Kangaskhan play. I feel like that's the only way I'm gonna win this game. I had to knock out Bronzong too. If I knock out Bronzong, there's a chance that my Kangaskhan plus Miracle can win the game if he does have Ogre in the back. So I am gonna make the switch and go into Kangaskhan, and I have to go for a fake out eventually. So Ground does wake up, gets the first turn wake, which is super fortunate for me, and we get the fire punch off onto the Bronx, and that's important. If he has Gengar in the back though and is able to knock out my Groudon, I do lose. I did realize this, but I didn't think he brought Gengar at this. I thought he brought Mega Venusaur, as Grass Knot is going to pick up the knockout onto Groudon, so pretty offensive Venusaur. I learned that because it is faster than my Groudon at -1, so most likely he's either fast set with a Mega Evolution, or maybe he's not even Mega at all. At the end of the set, I actually confirmed the set, and he was actually Mental Herb, so that was interesting. As Smeargle is going to come out, and he is going to bring out his Groudon. But since he wasn't faster than my Groudon, and I'm not expecting it to outspeed my Smeargle, so he does have Chlorophyll up, but I do have the Tailwind up, so I am faster than both his Pokemon confirmed. And here I can just go for the Power Punch Dark Void. His Pokemon are getting put to sleep unless he goes for the Protect here. And I'm guessing he's maybe expecting a Fake Out here and the Dark Void, and might want to try to burn off some turns of sleep while my Kangaskhan's not set up. But I know I have to set up a Kangaskhan if I want to win the game. Venusaur's luckily not that much of a threat currently, but the ground is. I have to Power Punch. So I expect maybe his Groudon might Protect here, and he might go... Actually, do I expect the Groudon to Protect? I think I Power Punch the Venusaur if I'm correct. But Kangaskhan is going to Mega Evolve here, and we're going to see the moment of truth here as I do get the Power Punch, and it does go into the Venusaur because I expect his Groudon might want to Protect here, just to stall my Kangaskhan so it couldn't get set up. But I'm just going to Power Punch the Venusaur. Safe play. I didn't think it was going to protect Venusaur, to be honest. And I do get the Dark Void off, and it does connect with both Pokemon, which is super fortunate for me because now Venusaur hasn't... no, Venusaur has taken its first turn again to sleep. Groudon also has, but Venusaur can't knock me out. And I do have the Crafty Shield, so I can go for the Crafty Shield right now. And what Crafty Shield does is it allows my Kangaskhan to stay on the field without worrying about Sleep Powder. Grass on Sludge Bomb won't matter, as Speed does ride with Smeargle, which doesn't really matter at this point, I feel. Because I have the Tailwind up and I'm about to knock out the Groudon, unless he goes for the Protect here, but I can always Dark Void it the following turn. And yeah, I can just go for the Crafty Shield, prevent any Sleep Powders. So gonna go for the return and knock out this Groudon here, and that is actually gonna pick up the knockout. So I feel like it's decently bulky because it took the first hit pretty decently. As we're gonna see if the Venusaur wakes up, but it doesn't, which is very fortunate for me. I don't have to worry about like a Sludge Bomb poisoning my Smeargle and knocking it out. As I get a nice speed rise, but it doesn't matter at this point. His Smeargle, his Venusaur was already at -1 speed, and Kyogre on a team like this, on his team, he's definitely running slow Kyogre in my opinion. So I don't think it matters at this point. If he was max speed or a modest max speed, it would matter, but I don't think he is. And I'm just going to go for a Dark Void and return. I know that his Kyogre might Protect here, and if he does Protect, I could lose the game if Venusaur wakes up and goes for like a Sleep Powder. So I'm just going to go for the Dark Void and the return here. Kind of risky because if he has Water Spout, I could lose the game and if I miss the Dark Void, I could have lost the game. But basically I'm already playing on odds already, so I'm just going to go for a Dark Void. Venusaur already sleep. Kyogre is going to get put to sleep here, and I am going to go straight for that return onto the Venusaur, and that's going to pick up the knockout. And my Kangaskhan's at +2. Kyogre shouldn't be able to live a +2 return, and if it does, then it's confirmed to be bold. And if it's bold Kyogre, it cannot knock out my Kangaskhan with an Origin Pulse because he cannot Water Spout because he would be left with a sliver of HP. So he would have to crit Origin Pulse and be bold to win the game. So, and I don't have Wide Guard, so I can't go for Wide Guard. I guess maybe a Scald crit could help, but could have mattered. But I'm very confident that return just knocks out the Kyogre at +2. And as we see here, it does. I'm up for Tailwind with Smeargle because it didn't matter at that point. And I am able to win game 2. Kangaskhan Smeargle. It's such a scary lead. And yeah, it's just such a scary lead because um, having Kangaskhan next to Smeargle, I have Fake Out, I have Tailwind, I have Dark Void, I have Power Punch. Just so many easy setups for me, and it's really easy to start setting up. Sweeping while my opponent takes a bit of a nap. So I take game 2 here as we're going to move on to game 3. And now game 3, this is the tournament match. It's match point for both of us. Whoever wins will advance to the finals, and the loser, I think, gets a nice plush from Jen. But obviously we're fighting for the finals. We're fighting for that win. It's a tournament. Yeah, basically you just fight for that win. And his team again is Togekiss, Kyogre, Gengar, Venusaur, Bronzong, and Groudon. My team is Big C, Kangaskhan, Smeargle, Cresselia, Salamence, Groudon, Xerneas. And here, I'm like, okay, I don't know if he wants to lead Gengar, Bronzong. I could see him do it, but I don't think he is, to be honest. He could bring it, but I'm really confident he's going to bring Venusaur, Groudon again. So I'm actually going to lead Kangaskhan, Smeargle since it gives me the most pressure against that lead. I'm actually not sure. He should bring Gengar in my opinion, but I'm not sure if he is. And I'm going to have Groudon, Cresselia in the back. Even if he leads Gengar, I don't feel like it's that worrisome. Since he doesn't have Shadow Ball, my Cresselia is pretty safe against that Gengar. And I could start going for Precipice Blades with my Groudon. I could pull a double switch first turn if necessary. So I feel like Kangaskhan Smeargle is the optimal play here. And you know, it's going to be a 50-50 on this lead, I feel. I don't think he has many leads for my team other than Gengar plus something and the Groudon Venusaur. So it'll definitely be interesting. I know that Xerneas is definitely not the play in this matchup because, you know, Xerneas against 2 poison types and the steel type and the Groudon, not very appreciative. I was considering bringing Xerneas, but I felt like Kangaskhan Smeargle already proved to be flawless in the second battle, so definitely bring Kangaskhan Smeargle once again. I'm gonna try to go for a setup where I weaken his team so Gravity Precipice Blades wins the game, as he does lead the Venusaur Groudon, and here it's gonna be a 50-50. Once again, he knows I have Tailwind, and I love showing Tailwind on my Smeargle because it pressures the opponent to not double protect. Because if they double protect, I get a Tailwind, and then I just Dark Void them. And unless he's timid, Venusaur, he has to... Unless he's timid Venusaur, he doesn't have to be my Smeargle and Tailwind, so that's very important. So here, I'm going to make the read that he doesn't protect both his Pokemon, and I'm going to go for a Fake Out Dark Void here. At the worst, I mean, it's not that bad even if I don't get the read, because Smeargle could get a Moody Boost that could be very useful. I could Fake Out, then protect with both, then double protect with both of them. But he doesn't go for the double protect. I get the Fake Out off onto his Venusaur. Gonna do some nice damage. That's definitely frail Venusaur, as Venusaur does flinch, and the Dark Void is going to connect with both Pokemon. And super fortunate for me, very fortunate for me. I have not been missing Dark Voids this tournament, as both of them are going to take a nap. And here we go. Groudon is going to take his first turn to guarantee sleep. Venusaur has not yet, and that does come into play later in the game. Accuracy is going to rise, so I can't miss a Dark Void. Very fortunate, and the special attack drop. Here, I'm going to start setting up. I have no reason not to start setting up. I'm going to go for the Power Punch into Groudon. I'm actually going to go for a Talon, because if his Groudon wakes up first turn and his Venusaur gets a first turn wake up the second turn, it's troublesome for me. I know he could switch on to Bronzong, but I do have Cresselia in the back, so I'm not as worried, as he is going to withdraw that Venusaur and go out into Bronzong. I could have went for a Dark Void, I really could have, but I thought he might have wanted to burn a first turn of sleep, so I'm going to go for the Power Punch into that Groudon. It's going to get me to a +2, which is that's very nice for me, because Return's going to do a knockout the Groudon at that point, as we saw in the first game, and Return's going to do a lot to the Bronzong. So Talon is going to be set up, and he does get the first turn wake up, which is, you know, understandable. Eruption is going to come out, and luckily with that Power Punch damage, it is not enough to knock out my Kangaskhan. Very important. As the Focus Sash is going to activate, we're going to get a special defense rise. It's no evasion, so it does not matter, and the special tag drops. What I'm going to do here, he has to protect Groudon here. He has 100% to protect Groudon, and he's going for the Trick Room, so I know I'm just going to switch out to my Cresselia, try to reset the Trick Room, and damage the Bronze Song so another return will be able to pick up the knockout. Groudon does protect here because he is forced to protect Groudon. If he loses Groudon, he's already in the downhill situation against my Groudon. I'm going to go for the return into Bronzong. Do a nice amount of damage. That's over 50%. It's about 70%, which is insane for a resistant attack. As Trick Room is going to be set up. I know he can go for Trick Room. I know he can go for Hypnosis. But I am going to protect Kangaskhan since it is my best option. And reverse the Trick Room to try and win this game. I feel like it is the best play in my opinion. I feel like he would go for Hypnosis over Trick Room if he does, so I have to rely on missing Hypnosis. But he's actually going to go for a Safeguard, so he's preparing for my Smeargle in the later game, which is interesting, but that means I get to reverse the Trick Room. Eruption's going to come out from the Groudon, and that's going to do a lot to my Cresselia. I mean, he has a lot of HP. Citrus Berry is going to activate for my Cresselia and heal me way back, so that's nice. And it looks like if I get Icy Wind, a single target Icy Wind off, I might be able to live another Eruption barely. Trick Room is reversed here though. Since his Venusaur is most likely his Venusaur hasn't taken a first turn guaranteed sleep. His last Pokemon is most likely Kyogre. I'm going to go for the return into Bronzong and an Icy Wind. I'm expecting my Kangaskhan to get knocked out. I'm expecting an Eruption, Trick Room here. It is his best play. Targeting the Bronzong though is important because that is his speed control option in this game. Unless you count Venusaur's Chlorophyll, but I can slow that down. I can skill swap away his Chlorophyll. So my best option here is to get rid of Bronzong 100%. It is annoying because Smeargle is kind of useless with the Dark Void, but I can go for Tailwind. But interestingly, he protects Groudon. Jonathan actually told me he forgot about the Venusaur having taken his first turn guaranteed sleep. He actually thought it was awake, I think, even. So, return does knock out the Bronzong. And I do fail the Icy Wind into the Protect. But here, he's either forced to bring out Kyogre, or he's forced to bring out a sleeping Venusaur, which either one is pretty bad because his Groudon is already protected. So I can pick up a knockout with Kangaskhan, unless he gets a double Protect, obviously. But, pretty bad situation for Jonathan right now, as he does send out Venusaur. I was thinking maybe he should have done Kyogre, because Venusaur is guaranteed to take his first turn of sleep. I'm going to go for the return, and I'm going to go for the Icy Wind here. Now, in case he lives the return. Now, this is kind of a choke on my part. If I thought the return was able to knock out the Groudon, I should have went for the skill swap into Venusaur, because that would have gave my Cresselia Chlorophyll. I would have been able to outspeed the Venusaur and get rid of its only way to outspeed my Groudon. So he is going to take his first turn guaranteed sleep. I am going to go for the return into Groudon as he fails to double protect. That is able to pick up the knockout. It might have been a roll. That's what I was thinking. Sun does fade, and I do get a single target Icy Wind off. But as I said, it's a mistake. I should have went for skill swap 100% as I'm looking back at these matches. And Venusaur is going to... Well, Venusaur is going to take a nap. Well, it's still taking a nap. But Kyogre is going to come out here. And here, I feel like I'm really, really losing my edge here. Not during the battle, but when I'm looking back at this, I do feel like I am losing my edge because I had a 100% win condition. That would have just guaranteed me the game. However, I'm starting to choke it now. Because what I could have done here was skill swap the Venusaur and return to Kyogre. If he protected Kyogre and Venusaur wakes up, knocks out my Kangaskhan, Groudon should be able to win the game 100%. But here I actually decided to switch out to my Groudon and go for the return into Venusaur because, you know, Kyogre, you would think a player would protect Kyogre and try to Sleep Powder or just knock out my Kangaskhan in general. Or if Kyogre does stay in, he would go for a water type attack, trying to knock out my Cresselia and my Groudon. So Groudon is going to come out, bring out the Desolate Land, so I don't have to worry about water type attacks anymore. But giving Venusaur Chlorophyll was not the best idea, especially if it woke up and he did make the read of protecting and going for the Ice Beam. And he actually did make the read, but unfortunately his Venusaur is still fast asleep. and return is going to actually be able to pick up the knockout onto the Venusaur, and that will just seal up the game because Kyogre cannot win this setting. His Ice Beam is going to come out. He did make the read Ice Beam into Kangaskhan. If Venusaur woke up there, I might have been in trouble, but it would have depended on who he targeted the next turn with probably Sleep Powder. Because if he Sleep Powder Cresselia, Groudon could win the game by Precipice Blading, and if he targeted Groudon, it would have been interesting if I protected or not. And he's just going to forfeit the match right here because he knows he can't win. I have Gravity, I have Precipice Blades, and the crit Ice Beam can't knock out my Groudon, and I will win the game. So very unfortunate for Jonathan, as I will be taking that set 2-0, and not 2-0, 2-1, excuse me, but really well played by Jonathan. I feel I played that end game pretty sloppy in game 3. I definitely felt like I could have won that 100% guaranteed. Instead, I made a bit of risky, sticky situation for me if all the rolls went into Jonathan's favor, like that Protect on Venusaur, and he went for the Ice Beam because Venusaur would have had Chlorophyll, even though it's at -1 speed. We did see it outspeed my Groudon earlier, so depending on Sleep Powder and some Ice Beam rolls, he could have actually won the game, so yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this top 4 set. The next time will be the finals, and it is actually against my good friend Steven Mia, who we did face in round 5. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys did, please leave a like down below. I really appreciate it. And check out my other content on this channel. And yeah, see you guys next time.